All right, this is the July 10th meeting of the policy group, and we are discussing computer internet policies and an upcoming policy for an excise tax exemption for disabled veterans.
Is it disabled or just Purple Heart?
No, it's two things. Going backwards a minute. So I can go back through my emails, but it seemed to me it was going to cover anybody that has a motor vehicle, lives in Acton currently, or in the future has a Purple Heart license plate, and also anyone who is 100% disabled and has a disabled plate. And you can only get one exemption per household or per person. So like you have two cars, you would only get, if you otherwise qualified, an exemption for one vehicle. And apparently the thought is that there aren't very many people that this will affect.
Are you talking about militarily disabled or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not just the disabled?
No, I think it's strictly military, but that's a good question. So knowing that much, we could not begin to write a policy.
Right.
Hence, we needed a conversation with Jennifer and anybody else. So that's why, to date, that hasn't gone anywhere. I did send the selectmen and Jennifer a quick email just at supper time, asking what the status was of the dishonored checks policy.
Yeah. That was one of my questions too. What is the
And the
status?
request for public information. That was, those two, I submitted our final drafts to Jennifer on June 20th, and the attached email said, you know, this was for her review. Any questions, let me know, otherwise pass it on to the Board of Selectmen for their read and approval.
So the
Nothing.
dishonored checks, and what was the other one?
Request for public information.
Oh, yeah.
So, haven't heard anything in the last few weeks, no questions, no, nothing. So, again, now that you say Lorraine was taken ill, maybe that's why everything has been kind of put off. That would be understandable. Jennifer did send me, and she told me about this a few weeks ago, that they changed the personnel policy, and it was largely based on, from the conversation, it sounded like it was from the manager of the transfer station. They changed the flex time. We had it as, we have it as 12 days, right,
Is this on the personnel policy?
on the personnel policy. We had it as 12 days, it is now 5. Because, because apparently what's been happening is there just aren't enough employees to cover anybody, and nobody's getting the use of the 12 days anyway.
Right.
And it's been a use it or lose it policy, and everybody, I guess that was consulted, agreed that 5 was much more reasonable, and maybe people would actually get the days.
And that's 5 flex days.
Yes.
So they're not accruing per quarter, I would guess, then, huh?
Well, even originally when you could accrue it, still at the end of the year, if you didn't use it, you lost it.
But I thought they were allowed to accrue.
The way we had written it, they were allowed to accrue up to 1 year.
So many,
Oh, yeah.
right.
Yeah, but I don't know if
It said at
it
no
was...
time may an employee have more than 2 years,
For 2 years.
right, 12 days, but flex time accrued.
Right.
But that was when they were allowed 12 days, which would have been
Correct.
1 year's worth.
Right, right.
So I had to go online to the
Did you?
town's website and see the actual wording of the revised one, which I didn't do. Didn't.
It'd be interesting to see if they can
Yeah,
still accrue.
Yeah, it might be posted on the bulletin board. They usually had the other one posted on the bulletin board going down to Lorraine's office.
Oh, there we go.
But it's, it will absolutely be on the town website, because they list all the policies on there that we have done. And then all the other ones to be done is still in the loose leaf binder.
So they had signed the original policy that we submitted to them, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so it did have the accrual for 1 year.
Right.
That wasn't shot down, yeah.
You know, off the top of my head, I
Yeah,
can't
me
tell you.
too, yeah.
Did they say anything about having to work Thanksgiving now?
No, they only changed. That straight face, all I do. I'm not answering her. Okay, moving on. Go to the town website for further information.
So this
Attention, Deborah, memo.
this thing that they're looking for the disabled, for the Purple Heart and disabled veterans is just an exemption on registration of their motor vehicle.
Excise tax, I thought it was.
Excise
It's the
tax.
excise tax. So I'm not willing to go down this path and spend 10 minutes on it tonight
Okay.
until I have a more detailed conversation with Jennifer or somebody else.
Okay.
But based on the passing conversation that I've had so far, I'm not putting pen to ink.
We have nothing in writing about,
And the paper.
is this something that's
No.
already in effect?
They do it.
They do it.
It is in effect,
It
it's
is
not
already-
documented.
There's no documents at all on it.
Yeah, it would be a new policy. And it may end up being a one paragraph.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be very much.
Even if we
It's
can
not very
feature it-
But
detailed.
when she was working, during hours, she's going to be so busy, we're not going to be able to sit
She
down.
actually suggested that. She wondered if we could come on a Thursday night when she would be here anyway.
Yeah.
Because she's here Thursday night and the.
Right up until the start of the
selectmen-
selectmen's meeting.
Right,
Yeah.
and even then, she's still here, and she doesn't need to be in with the selectmen.
No, she usually doesn't sit in
So
on
she
the
said
board
that would be a
meeting
perfect
because
time to-
she has people coming in and out to do other business.
Yeah.
So if Kim is here, then, yeah, maybe she would have some time.
Yeah.
Just depends on
Next Thursday then?
whether you have time.
She wondered if we could come in sometime because she's working. I told her you two guys worked, and so.
Yeah,
I'm
but
sure
they're
you
open one
couldn't do
night
it
during the-
day,
No.
but at night,
Right.
we could do it, I thought.
Yeah.
So you want to try to set something up with her for, I couldn't do it this Thursday, we have company coming.
That's tomorrow, right? Day after
The
tomorrow.
day after
tomorrow.
tomorrow,
Yeah, how about next Thursday?
What's the Thursday? Anybody got a calendar with
But
it?
then that won't help us because,
Today's the-
I think I do.
Well, 19th, it'll be the 19th, Thursday night.
I could probably take an hour, a couple of hours away if you want to do it Thursday night. I'm only thinking that,
He's got carving Thursday, so that's why I suggested the 19th.
okay. So he couldn't do it Thursday night either. Okay.
Well, our view of it is, if it hasn't been documented so far, the attorney or the auditor, somebody wants it sooner rather than later, we'll get to it. I don't think it's going to take a lot of time, but nothing's going to happen based on the short conversations that I've had.
Right. Do we want me to look up if there are any other towns that do and see what their policy is?
Sure.
Okay.
I found a whole bunch of stuff on it.
Well, we're not going to talk about it now. Sorry, that was my fault.
But I couldn't find any specific local towns. Alabama.
Alabama.
Is that New England?
I tried to find like some local towns. And there's a Bureau of Motor Vehicles for Maine, and it lists all of the
Different types of plates?
types of plates that are available, yeah. And what they're for, and what it requires, and stuff like that.
Okay. Do you want to send us those websites?
I will. I'll send them to you.
Okay, that would be helpful. Why don't we check our calendars tonight or tomorrow and see if we've already got anything on there for the 19th? And I'll call, shoot Jennifer an email and see if she thinks that date will work for her.
Would that be after our next meeting?
No, it's before.
It's before. Okay, perfect.
Because our next meeting will be July 24th. And then the 25th, another 6 days after that, I'll do. But if you feel free to stay home and work.
Okay, if you say so, boss.
Carry on.
All right.
Okay, so I'll send those websites.
Okay. And maybe just from that, we can figure out some more verbiage, so.
Yeah. You might be able to find something more locally. I just very quickly, I wasn't able to find anything.
I wonder how many of our policies get shared with other towns and adopted. We should get a commission. Yeah. Strike that. We don't want that.
Do you really want people knowing you worked on?
Well, like the drug and alcohol policy, that was, I thought we put on quite a darn good.
We did.
Bit of work there.
Yep.
Not that it came to.
Right.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's this week.
And I will let you know as soon as I get a status on those, the dishonored checks and the request for public information.
Okay.
And the other one I'm waiting on is, I needed to wait until on or around July 15th to schedule a meeting on the purchasing guidelines with Michelle Rumney, because there was going to be an audit going on here, and that can take a week, and then you got to write your responses to the audit issues. So she said, well, maybe around the middle of the month. So that's the other one that we have pending, that we haven't started with. Jennifer just looked at it and said, nobody does this now. And Michelle Rumney had the same thing. Most people don't even know that that's there, and they don't do it that way anyway. So it's evidently totally changed. Okay, so on the computer usage or internet policy,
Yep.
did you get a chance to take a look at the one that Steve had provided?
I did, yeah.
I just had extra copies, which I will.
Well, this says that it's the effective computer use policy governs when and how employees use city-provided technology resources. Okay, I guess there's another one that, oh, it's the one that they have now. Only deals with internet systems. It doesn't really say anything about computer systems, whereas yours covers that. The one that they gave to us. It just says employee computer and internet policy, but I couldn't see anywhere where it really says anything about, well, it does say here, computer.
I think everything is just basically an internet policy. Computer just happens to be how you look at the internet, and that's why they included the word computer. I don't think it's going to say, like, you can't take the screws out and rearrange the buttons or anything.
Yeah.
As far as computers go, but
So, a policy on computers would be something separate? Like in terms of, who downloads software and who oversees security? That would be under a different policy, do you think?
Well, I think the downloading of stuff should be included in this policy, but the actual physical computer should be covered under a different policy, town-owned assets or something.
Okay.
I don't know what you call that.
Yeah, just town equipment.
Yeah.
And we cover A to Z.
Yeah.
Tractors, just,
Don't break stuff.
well,
You break it, you pay for it.
some of this computer usage language, I will say, isn't particularly
Friendly.
I don't think
user-friendly
we have
to
an
some of us.
intranet here either. Steve didn't think so.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, is it puts more work probably on Jennifer, but to save a lot of conversation that then needs an interpreter,
That's what I,
are we better off saying to Jennifer, take a look at these, mark the paragraphs that apply to the town, and then we'll create the policy?
take a
She'll
look
have
at
to do-
what?
She'll have to
These
Do
two.
that after hours though, won't she?
Yeah, she's.
No.
Isn't that why they asked us
Oh,
to do
that's
it?
true,
Because
okay.
no one really gets a chance during the course of business days to really,
It is, but
Yeah.
they're saying that she's the one to talk to understand how it works today, you know,
I know.
and you need that understanding before you can,
Yeah, because we don't know, do we know that if they're allowed to use internet access
I know,
You mean
no
for
information
personal
on
for
it.
personal use,
I
yeah?
believe the existing policy says they can, as long as it doesn't interfere with their duties or something. Incidental personal use of town
Incidental
computers.
personal use of town computers is permitted as long as such use does not interfere with the employee's jobs. But then later it says that that they can't do it during regular town business hours.
I mean, I took it to mean that they could do it on their lunch hour, they could stay
Right.
around afterward,
Right.
that kind of thing.
Come in early.
And I think, given the number of hours that a lot of these people work, since they're pretty much all part-timers, they're probably pretty busy while they're here. It would be a rare day, I think, when they were sitting around wondering what they're going to do next. It's not like most of them work a 40-hour week, they don't. I mean, I suppose you could take this one you got from Minnesota and just take that and make it for Acton. I'll let, say, Jennifer go through it and just knock off any paragraphs that she thinks just absolutely don't apply to our small little town here.
Yeah. Do they have so what are the things that we would need to know from them? Can we make a list of questions for her? That we feel that we should know from her in terms of what we have now?
I'd
That
like to
had
know
been
who they call
suggested.
if something breaks.
Well, yeah, and who determines all of the software to be used by the town, and who oversees security and passwords and
Backups.
backups? Yeah, all of that.
Off-site, where is it?
There's so much we don't
There's an
know.
endless amount of questions that you can ask, depending on what the scope is going to be in the policy. I mean, these two cover a lot of area.
One of the things that I read said that you have to be sure, it says, should be developed in consultation with technology and human resource experts. Because you need to know who takes care of the technology.
Yeah, you can tell them no, playing solitaire and no pornography and all this kind of stuff, but what do you do for the little things when something goes wrong? If somebody happens to open that email that wipes everything out, then what do we do as a town?
Yeah, there's no help desk.
Right.
I suppose it's just like when the Xerox breaks, you call the Xerox repairman or whoever you
Do they
have.
have a network?
I don't know.
So do you think we should, in order to go forward, we should make some questions that we could send to Jennifer?
That was
Does she would
suggested.
be ready?
Yeah, that they would know, what areas we'd like to have some clarity of what we have, because this really doesn't address any of that.
And that would give her an opportunity, too, to get some of the things answered before we got there on Thursday, so that we could start working right away and not have to wait for more answers.
But do we even know all the questions, or even the majority of questions to know?
Well,
He's
computer
fast.
guy, he
Yeah.
would know a majority of the
Yeah,
things.
I mean, what are the things
Backup is
that,
his life.
what do you think that, some of the things that basic things that we should know about the present system?
Well, we should know if there's an intranet, which I don't know if they have or not. I'd be real surprised if
That's
they
an
did.
INTRANET.
Yep,
Is that an in-house network?
yes. We need to know something about their antivirus software.
Who takes care of it?
Yeah, and if there is any.
Well, it has to exist, right?
Oh,
I'd
it's
like
got to.
I'd like to think so.
So it's a brand, like McAfee or...
Does the policy need to say what it is, or just who oversees it?
Just need to know who oversees all that. And the updates, there should be updates weekly or monthly or something to that.
I don't think you'd want to specify the brand because periodically you might want to change it.
Right.
And how often it's updated?
Well, I'm sure there are periodic updates, but who applies them, or if the individuals do them, or what?
Individual operators
Yeah.
here? I would think not.
Who installs it? So, I mean, isn't that just done by,
It should be an automatic.
I mean, for instance, I have McAfee.
Yeah.
You know, I push the button when it says to scan and
Right.
it gets done.
Mine doesn't even let me go onto the computer and do anything for 5 minutes after I start it, because it's
Right, so it's
It's
basically
updating everything.
It's out of the user's control and the vendor, McAfee or whatever other names are out there.
Yeah, we don't need to know the name,
No.
but just an idea of,
So, I mean, there's nobody in this town
do we want to know
has any control over it.
who oversees the computers, the name of the person who oversees them? Maybe we can meet with them.
Yeah. I'm sure it's Jennifer, yeah.
No, I don't think so. It could be, but I had got the impression that someone in the school department that oversees the school department's computers,
Like technical support?
the technical support. That was my impression at one point. From
Well,
something.
write that down, find out who does tech support. Now, the security software, did they, no, I guess security software wouldn't be the same as the antivirus, would it?
No.
So we need to know who runs the security and does our backups and where the offsite is?
And if there's any kind of password management or anything.
Yeah.
So if they've had the same password, if they use passwords on the computers, that if they have the same one since the year of the flood.
Hmm.
So who runs the security of the equipment, of the computers?
Software and security?
Well, I'd go with password management or something like that.
I'm on backups,
Yeah,
and how often, if anything's held offsite.
I'm sorry, what would get stored off-site? What
The
possible?
backups.
If a tornado came through town and everything was gone, or a fire or something, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
That virus that was going around Monday.
So it's the software programs?
Yeah, well,
Well,
the
yeah,
information, the information on a
Data and
computer.
everything else.
Off-site data storage?
Yeah,
I don't know if that really belongs to the internet policy either, but. it should be
It
addressed
wouldn't be
somewhere.
under your computer
Yeah.
hardware will belong to what thing? It should go.
I suppose you should.
You probably have a separate policy, and that, it's just not included in this.
See, it's in these two. It's in this one.
But this is Town of Acton Employee Computer and Internet Policy. It's the town's computer and internet policy, so
I know.
if anything, it should make reference to, backups and passwords and so forth is handled by whatever the designation is of that person.
Mhm. But after going through this, we might find out that there's a lot to be added to that.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, I think there is
yeah.
quite a bit.
What else?
What else? I don't know if they have any restrictions on what each person installs on their computer. or if
There
they
was a
want
little
it.
bit.
I think it says that they can't
Is there?
install.
I
Yeah.
don't remember seeing that.
Well, because it just slows down the
The
memory.
misuse of
right?
computer passwords, there you go. I thought I saw something about downloading.
Would it just be under personal usage?
Downloading or loading software applications without permission
Oh,
from the
yeah.
chairman?
Yep.
Okay, so I guess I don't know.
It says downloading or loading software or applications without permission from the chairman, board of selectmen.
But they've taken off chairman and board of selectmen, and we now need to know who.
Yes. Yeah, I have a note there, says office approved by
Well,
blank.
can you envision situations where we, the town of Acton, would want to allow an employee under any situation to load personal usage software
No,
on there?
No.
So even for people that are volunteers in the community, they would not have any reason to ever put on any kind of personal applications.
A volunteer?
volunteers? No.
Yeah.
I can't think of any reason.
I
I
can't
can't see
either.
why a volunteer would need to be,
Well, what if we need to do, or use the town computer to record our minutes or something?
Is that what you're thinking? That someone doesn't have their own computer?
Stretching here, turning, you know. No, but I mean, if you're working the volunteer fire department or ambulance department, or the things that go on down there that you would want to access,
I have a
that
question
might be
on that
helpful,
one.
or does that cross the lines between business and personal?
No. Actually, I wonder who owns those computers over there.
That,
What's
yeah,
the-
those are way out in the open.
Yeah, but I think it's just, there's not much on them. I really, not much on them.
But people could conceivably load things on
Yes.
them, and then go down and use them because theirs is broken at home, or they don't want somebody home to see what they're accessing. Is that,
Other things, actually, that'd be a good
So-
question to ask, what, we're developing the internet usage policy for the town hall or for
All of the town.
the,
Fire department is part of the,
you know, I think that would be a very interesting question,
who's going to be covered by this policy?
yeah.
Memo, Ed Walsh. How's it done in the fire department? How was it done?
So, so we don't know if they have an internet, if they're networked, and so those computers may be networked with the town hall?
Oh, no, they're not.
They're not.
The ones at the fire department are not, no.
Yeah.
Does the library have a computer?
That was the other, one of the other things I found was a lot
They
of
do.
them.
They must.
Yeah, and I think they allow public use of them too. And they need a policy for that too, because that was one thing I found when I did a search. I found a lot of towns have, their library has its own policy for use of those computers because it says when they go on someplace, what is it, IPC is for the town of Acton.
Let's get a copy of that.
think
Assuming
they
it
have one?
exists.
Skeptic.
Well, amongst your cadre of librarians, they might have a document that they all say, okay, this is how we'll do things.
how many do we have?
Well, I think you just.
No, I mean, other towns.
Oh, other towns, okay. Butchman Acton.
Maine League of Librarians, whatever they call it.
Like the Association of Librarians.
Then if they have young kids going in and use a computer.
Yeah, you don't know what's on.
All that. No, it's really awful. You try to do nice things
You do.
for
yes.
people, and then you have to think about all, you never do.
I've never
No,
done
it
nice
doesn't.
things.
have to think about all these issues and who'll sue who and
Oh, yeah.
all. Does Acton Library have computer internet policy for public use, right?
It would be for public use, yeah.
Mhm.
Public users. Okay.
What?
I don't know who does their email here, but there's a big thing about retaining emails for the legal period of time to,
Oh, before it's deleted?
not individually, but it should be stored on the server or something somewhere. So that if if I
IRS.
sent Jennifer an email and she deleted it, they should still be able to retrieve that somehow.
How long are emails stored on the server?
Or if they're stored on the server. Yeah, I assume they are. But
And again, all of this would be town emails,
Yep.
town business emails.
Yeah, I should look in the Maine Municipal Association and see if they have anything written.
Definitely, yeah. You have access to it, right? And who controls when stuff gets dumped?
I do. No.
Oh, I wouldn't trust you with that job.
Delete everything. I used to work for the Nixon administration.
Oh, you don't want everybody in the neighborhood here to know that.
And some of the answers to these will lead to other questions, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
But just, trying to do this blind is kind of a waste of time. This is a really nice document.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it really lets you know what areas you should cover. I think that's the
Games.
one that says also that is, you have to be really careful about when you start dealing with, if someone does this, blah, 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 you can't deal with the personnel, the human resource thing about what happens to the person who doesn't do it. You know, you have to really keep things separate when you're doing the policy. You know?
Now, yours says to delete as many as you can.
Right, that's not deleting it from the server, that's deleting it out of your inbox.
Oh, I see, okay.
We had a policy where I last worked where about twice a year there would be an email blast from the help desk people saying that they're going to go in and delete everything that's more than a year old, or pick an age. So if you wanted it, save it, get it out of there, because across the firm, they were going to dump it.
Because nobody deletes anything.
Because because they wanted to free up memory. For the same reason, they would say, no games and no screensavers, because screensavers take up a lot of memory, especially when you're dealing with maybe not a small organization like you have here at the town hall, but when you have a couple hundred people, and they've all got their favorite, and sometimes multiple screensavers on there, it's amazing the gigabytes that it takes up.
Now, we don't have an official policy at work, but we've been told not to run like Pandora or something that streams
Yeah, that's,
Music.
Because it takes
eats
up
up
a
a lot
lot.
of the broadband.
And also, I think this one of them says that music downloads are one of the fastest virus movers.
Really?
Yeah, it takes up a
That the
lot of
most viruses infect computers from music downloads.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, bring your old battery-operated radio to work.
Now, does this
Or a
policy
CD
that you
that's
had, does it control changing of passwords?
Yes.
Every year? Yeah, we
Oh,
used to
every
have
month.
that too at my company, yeah.
I refer to it as password changing day, because I have about 12 passwords I have to change every month.
And I have to go write it and put it underneath.
Oh, I know.
I just write it on my whiteboard.
Yeah, but
Of course, that's what they tell you, do not leave your passwords on the screen, you know?
Only Laura can read that.
All right, so current password data on.
Tons of fun to change.
But yeah, actually, neither one of these addressed like the Pandora's box, the streaming of music or video, which takes a huge bite out of your internet access speed.
YouTubing.
Yep. I would have thought that my company,
The software, not the way it is, but just what you use it.
kind of surprised. The one thing I like about this one is this, it keeps saying about the employees do not have a right of privacy, and then that really should be stressed.
Yes,
Yeah,
It's not their computer, not their internet.
yeah.
you have no right to privacy on anything on a corporate
Right.
computer.
This is the library one. Yeah, one of them makes it plain and easy, and effective security, that the equipment, the usage of it, any information on it is not yours.
Security of the equipment. On the next to last page, just before they have the employee sign,
Which one is that?
the one from Minnesota,
Uh-huh.
the very last page.
Yeah.
Last page, and the one before that, password and physical security of equipment. Remote access.
Actually, I was going to ask, do you know if they have remote access to any of the computers here?
Don't know.
Outside access, remote access by whom?
Like if Jennifer can sit at home and use it, do the go to my PC or something,
I
and
think she does, because I've gotten calls from her after hours when I know she hasn't been here. And I think she does check sometimes, especially if she wants to know what, any surprises tomorrow morning at the start of business, you know?
Also, when we did the, I forget which policy it was, but it started out talking about the deposits with the bank, and they're entered, so there must be access there, right?
That's a separate bank.
Is that a
system.
separate
that's a
com-
bank thing, yeah.
Okay, so that has nothing to do with the computer system here,
No,
accessing it
It's a
through
standalone
their
system.
computer system. It's a totally different piece of equipment
San
and
Diego
everything,
Institute for Savings.
and it's a totally different piece of
Yeah,
equipment?
it's in Michelle Rumney's office.
Okay. Okay.
Essentially what it does, you scan a check in there, then...
It automatically gets
You come
deposited.
tomorrow morning, you say, deposit, you get credit for the deposit, and we don't, Acton doesn't even send the check to the bank.
Okay. And in the one that they have now, it says unacceptable activities. Unacceptable activities are those that do not conform to the purpose of this policy, goals and missions of the town of Acton, and something, each user's authorized job and responsibilities. But I would think that there should be some broader coverage of what are unacceptable activities.
Turn the page, and there you go.
All part of the,
Okay,
Those are all the unaccepted usage.
well, like with other documents we've
Examples, yeah.
done, if you get into specifics and somebody violates something
That's not
inappropriate,
listed.
That's not listed, I get nervous about stuff like that.
Right.
yeah.
So it would be the other, turn it the other way, that the only thing you can do is what this policy allows you to do.
Sure.
right.
I like that. You thinking again tonight?
I'm cooking, all of a sudden, we're cooking.
She just woke up.
That's what I was thinking. Where Elaine? Such a supporting cast.
Okay. You're having too much fun over there, Virginia. Totally acknowledge you. Yeah, see, this paragraph here, the town of Acton retains control, custody, and supervision of all computers, networks, and internet services owned or leased by the town. The Board of Selectmen reserves the right to monitor all computer and internet activity by employees and other system users. I wonder who other system users would be.
Somebody comes in to work on the system or something, I would assume.
Employees have no expectation of privacy in their use of town computers, including email messages and stored files.
Maybe it's worth asking Jennifer if there are any paragraphs in that that you can look at right now and say, oh, we don't do this, we don't do that. It's just obsolete.
This was just done in 2010.
Well, it's originally 2005. I
2005.
can't imagine what they've updated. It
Yeah.
doesn't say what was added.
Just readopted.
Yeah.
Well, if we look in
voted
the
on it.
three-ring binder, which we can't access right now, we might find the old policy in there that this
Replaces.
into this.
Mhm.
They might have taken the Board of Selectmen off there and changed something else, if that's what it says. To-
I have office
something.
approved by, in a blank, looking at.
Those might have been the changes in 2010.
Well, that should give Jennifer enough to get us started.
Well, at least ask some more intelligent questions.
Right.
Yeah, I think maybe after more conversation with her, we can define, for a start, the scope of this policy.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned a lot of things, but maybe all of it isn't going into this policy. Whether it's another policy or not appropriate, whether it's virus scans, the fact that they exist, it's fine as long as you make sure that you have them. We don't need to go into detail as to when they get updated or,
Right.
I mean, that's part of what you're paying for. So we wouldn't need something like that, other than to say that we will have it.
I'd be real surprised if they use passwords.
Oh, it says something in there about password changing, though, so they must have something. You have to get them approved, no longer by the chairman of the board.
You get your passwords approved.
Probably done at a lower level,
Yeah, I'm sure.
I would hope. You don't need the okay from the Board of Selectmen to,
Oh, no.
I think that will do it for the filming.
Yeah.
So we'll send these,